Hi, welcome to BT Tran Crochet. In this video I'll be showing you how to make this lovely summer dress 3 to 6 month size. I'm going to be using the Bernard Soft Baby yarn, it's a DK yarn, and a 6.5 crochet millimeter hook. We are going to start with the chest, so we are going to make a slip knot. We are going to make a chain of 63 plus 2 for turning. For row 1, we are going to skip the first 3 stitches and make 1 double crochet into the 4th stitch. We're going to continue making 1 double crochet in each stitch till the end of the row. To start row 2, we are going to chain 2 and turn our work. We are going to make 1 double crochet into the same stitch as the chain 2. The chain 2 does not count as a stitch. And we are going to begin our V-stitch double crochet cluster stitch. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches, make 1 double crochet but don't finish it, make another double crochet but don't finish it, yarn over, and then pull through all 3 loops. Chain 1, make 1 double crochet incomplete in the same stitch, make another 1 double crochet, don't finish it, yarn over, and then pull through all 3 loops, and that's going to be our V-stitch cluster stitch. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches, repeat the same pattern. I'm going to make another V-stitch cluster stitch. So continue making your V-stitch cluster stitches till the end of the row, and I'll meet you at the end. At the end, you are going to have 1 stitch left. I'm going to make 1 double crochet into that last stitch. Row 3, chain 2, turn your work, make 1 double crochet into the first stitch, which is the same stitch as the chain 2. The chain 2 does not count as a stitch. We are going to make a V-stitch cluster into the chain 1 space of the previous cluster stitch. And we are going to yarn over, go into the next chain 1 space. That's the center of the previous V-stitch cluster, and make a V-stitch cluster stitch. And we are going to keep on making a V-stitch cluster stitches into the center of each previous V-stitch cluster stitch, and I'll meet you at the end. So I'm at the last stitch, and I'm going to make 1 double crochet at the top of the previous double crochet. So this is going to be a repeat row until the top part of the dress measures 3 inches long. So when you come to the last stitch, you chain 1 and you cut off your yarn. So this is the top part of our dress, and it measures 3 inches. We are going to turn our work and let our foundation double crochet face us. We are going to start with the skirt of the dress. We are going to insert our pink yarn, make a knot to secure it, insert our hook, and to begin row 1 of the skirt, and we are inserting a hook in only the top loop, not both loops. Grab our yarn, chain 2, and make 1 double crochet into the first stitch. And we are going to make 3 double crochets into each stitch in the row across until we get to the last stitch. So continue making 3 double crochets into each stitch across the row till the last stitch. I'm on the last stitch, and I'm going to make 1 double crochet into the top, the last double crochet. But I'm not going to complete my double crochet. I'm going to grab my white yarn and pull through, chain 2, and I've made my change of color here. For row 2, we are going to make 1 double crochet into the first stitch, skip 2 stitches, and make our first double crochet cluster stitch. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches and make our second double crochet cluster stitch. Continue making double crochet cluster stitches until you get to the end. At the end, you have only 1 stitch left. So I'm at the end, and I'm going to make 1 double crochet into the last double crochet to finish the row. I'm going to chain 2 and turn, yarn over. I'm going to make 1 double crochet into the same stitch as the chain 2. Chain 2 does not count as a stitch. I'm going to make 1 double crochet cluster stitch into the chain 1 space of the previous cluster stitch. I'm still using my white yarn. I'm going to continue making double crochet cluster stitches into the center of the previous cluster stitches till I get to the end of the row. I'm at the end of the row. I have 1 stitch left, and I'm going to make 1 double crochet at the top of the last double crochet, and I'm going to drop my white yarn and grab my pink yarn, complete my double crochet, chain 2 and turn. I'm going to be making 1 double crochet into the first stitch, and I'm going to make 1 cluster double crochet into the center of the previous cluster stitches. So go ahead and complete this row and make another row of pink. So you're going to have 2 rows of pink, and I'll meet you at the end of the second row. At the end of row 5, we are going to slip stitch to the first double crochet to join our skirts together. And to make my slip stitch, I'm going to drop my pink yarn and pick up my white yarn to complete my slip stitch and to make a color change. Now we are going to be working in rounds, but the pattern is still the same. I'm going to chain 2. We are going to be repeating the same pattern as the previous round. So make 1 double crochet into the first double crochet. Then make your double crochet cluster stitches into the center chain 1 space of the previous cluster stitch. I'm at the end of the round and I'm going to make 1 double crochet into the last double crochet and slip stitch to the top of the first double crochet. So we are going to be repeating this round until the skirt measures 7 inches. And you'll be alternating making 2 rows of pink, 2 rows of white, or whichever color you decide to use. So to finish off the edge of my skirt, I'm going to chain 1 and make 1 single crochet into each stitch to make a neat finishing. Slip stitch to the first single crochet, chain 1 and cut off your yarn. Your skirt is now done. You're going to turn your work inside out and you're going to weave in all your ends before we start with the top part of the dress. So turn the dress right side out again, and then this is the front part where the opening is. That's where we're going to put our buttons. But before that, we are going to finish the edging of the top part of the dress. You're going to insert a hook grab our pink yarn, make a knot to secure the yarn, and we're going to make one single crochet all around the edges. Chain 1, make one single crochet in the first stitch, and make one single crochet in each stitch. So my last single crochet, chain 1, and cut off your yarn. Again, weave in all your ends. We are now going to start with the buttonholes of our dress. I'm going to use a smaller hook, a 3.5mm hook. I'm going to be using the white yarn. So we're going to insert our hook to one side of the opening, pull our yarn, make a knot to secure, insert our hook, chain 2, and we are going to be making one double crochet into every other stitch. One double crochet in one stitch, skip the next stitch, and then make a double crochet in the next. Once you get to the end, chain 1 and cut off your yarn and weave in your ends. We are now going to sew on our buttons. So you sew on the rest of the remaining buttons. The buttons are done. We can now start with the straps of the dress. To make the straps, you're going to measure 1 inch from the side. Mark it with your stitch marker. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to use the small size 3.5mm hook. Count 5 stitches from where the stitch marker is. Insert your yarn, secure it with a knot, chain 2, and you're going to be making 1 double crochet into each of the 5 stitches. Remember that the chain 2 does not count as a stitch. Chain 2, turn your work, and make 1 double crochet into the first stitch where the chain 2 is, and 1 double crochet into the next 4 stitches. Chain 2 and turn your work. So you're going to repeat this pattern until your strap measures 10 inches. So once you come to the end, you chain 1 and cut off your yarn. So our strap measures a little over 10 inches, about 11 inches. We are going to start with the other side. With this side, we are going to insert a hook where the stitch marker is. Secure our yarn with a knot. We are going to repeat the same thing we did on the other side. Chain 2 to start. Make 1 double crochet in the same space as the chain 2 and make 1 double crochet into the next 4 stitches. Chain 2, turn your work and make 1 double crochet into each stitch. And now weave in all your ends to make sure your work is neatly finished. Our straps are now done. And we are going to start making the buttons at the back for securing our straps. And I'm going to be using the same colored buttons as the front part of the dress. The buttons are now complete. We are going to secure our straps. And our lovely summer dress is ready. It's so soft and flowy, and it's a perfect summer wear. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.